The Graduate School is led by the Graduate School Marshal, Dr. Robert DeLuty, Associate Dean of the Graduate School, and Ms. Brittany Davis, who is receiving her PhD in chemistry today. She is carrying the Graduate School banner. The procession of graduate students is led by the Students' Marshal, Dr. Marie Desjardins, the 2014 to 2017 recipient of the Presidential Teaching Professor Award and Professor of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering. The faculty and staff procession is led by the Faculty Marshal, Dr. Timothy Finan, the 2012 Presidential Research Professor and Professor of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering. He is joined by staff marshals, Mr. Kevin Joseph, the 2014 recipient of the Presidential Distinguished Staff Award for Professional Staff, and Director of Data Warehousing and Document Imaging in Information Technology, and Ms. Susan Velli, the 2014 recipient of the Presidential Distinguished Staff Award for Non-Exempt Staff and Business Services Specialist for the Department of Music. The faculty, staff, and students marshals are carrying batons that the UMBC Alumni Association gave to the university in honor of our 40th anniversary in 2006. The platform party is led by the Grand Marshal, Dr. Sarah Shin, President of the Faculty Senate and Professor of Education. The Grand Marshal carries the University Mace, a symbol of presidential authority. Used only on formal academic occasions, it is carried in the procession immediately before the President. UMBC's Mace was commissioned by the Alumni Association for UMBC's 20th anniversary in 1986.
Good morning to you all. The 64th commencement exercises of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County Graduate School will now be in order. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all standing. Actually, those of you who are sitting down, please rise for our national anthem, sung by Ms. Helen Kirby, a senior choral music education major who will graduate tomorrow with her bachelor's degree. Ms. Kirby is honored to represent the music department. Gentlemen, please remove your hats or caps during the anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Helen. That was a wonderful rendition. Now I ask that everyone please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the Vice Provost and Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Janet Rutledge.
Good morning. President Hrabowski and distinguished guests. Today we gather in a time-honored tradition shared across the world in saluting the attainment of the standards of advanced graduate study. This ceremonial tradition of conferral of the master's and doctoral degrees is one that provides a universal currency signifying the highest standard of achievement in the disciplines, subjects, and professions sponsored by UMBC. This is one of life's happiest and most significant milestones for each of today's graduates. It is a milestone not only for those earning degrees, but for all of us here today. For the graduates seated in front of me, it signifies completion of your master's or doctoral degree and the acceptance of new and ever more challenging horizons. For the faculty and staff, the event serves as a capstone for all they have shared with you and brings special joy at seeing your personal success. And for the many families and friends here today, it is a moment in which we can all share, acknowledging the recognition that you, our soon-to-be graduates, so richly deserve. For me and many others, it is a special moment during which we can witness the fruits of the many labors in our community and take pride in the remarkable work that takes place here at UMBC. During the ceremony, those of you receiving degrees will transition from being students to being alumni. Whether you go into careers as educators, scholars, artists, researchers, scientists, activists, service professionals, or engineers, you represent the very best of the future. You have embarked on one of the most important journeys of your lives, that of earning a degree in your respective field, profession, or discipline, and we are all very, very proud of you. The degree earned from UMBC reflects significant achievement, often involving significant personal sacrifice and struggle, for the pursuit of knowledge and understanding involves growth and change. As we pay tribute to you today, we recognize, too, those who have supported you during your studies at UMBC. We know how much support your families and friends have provided throughout the experience. We come together also to acknowledge the faculty and staff who have encouraged, mentored, and helped you achieve your very best at UMBC. By honoring you, our graduates, we pay tribute to their artful craft in leading you to this day. Please give all those who have supported you during these years a round of applause. Sarah Lewis, in her TED Talk called "Embrace the Near Win," that has been viewed by more than 1.5 million times, said, "We thrive not when we've done it all, but when we have more to achieve." She went on to say that completion is always the goal, but we hope it is never the end. That nicely summarizes why we are here today. We salute your achievement and completion, but more importantly, we celebrate the commencement of all that you have yet to achieve. Congratulations from all of us. Before we move into the program for today, let me briefly acknowledge some of the people on the platform. Joining us are the deans of our colleges and schools, members of the President's Council, and presidents of the campus senates and presidential award recipients. Now, I would like to introduce Mr. Daniel Miller, president of the Graduate Student Association and a PhD candidate in atmospheric physics. Dan?
Good morning, everyone. President Hrabowski, deans, faculty, family, and friends, and of course, the graduates. It is my privilege to address you today, just before you get your diplomas. It's really a great honor. Just before I go into the speech, the commencement speech, there's really only two commencement speeches. You've all heard them. They're either, the world is waiting for you, you're going to do great things, you're the best, or the world could not care about you less, you have to make it yours. They're the only two things. And I couldn't decide which one I liked more, because there is actually a truth in both, and that's why they get delivered at commencements. So I'll let you decide which one this ends up being. Today marks the end of a journey that has taken you to remarkable heights, and you have overcome challenges and difficulties along the way that have contributed to your growth and that have made you a more resilient person. I admire you all, and You have completed something that I only currently can see as a timeline, somewhere in the distance. And so please keep the seats warm for me, and I'll be there in a couple years. But it's amazing what you've done. You're doing great things. But as with all endings, this is really a beginning. It is now your turn to apply the skills and knowledge you've gained here at UMBC to explore new horizons and challenge yourselves. As you become leaders in your fields and contribute to the communities in which you live, work, and seek fulfillment in life, I want you to reflect on these words that the novelist David Foster Wallace once spoke during a similar commencement speech, which you should look up later on YouTube. The concept of learning how to think really means learning how to exercise some control over how and what you think about. It means being conscious and aware enough to choose what you pay attention to and to choose how you construct meaning from experience. Because if you cannot or will not exercise this kind of choice in adult life, you will be totally hosed. This sort of learning experience does not end with this degree. Dr. Rutledge said the same thing. It takes lifelong dedication and thoughtful effort. I am so proud of all of you and your accomplishments today. The advanced degrees you are about to receive are evidence to everyone, really, that you are thinking about the big problems that society faces today. And I hope that in your years ahead, they will be filled with happiness, propelled by empathetic and thoughtful decisions that enrich a career that matters both to you and your communities. So, on behalf of the Graduate Students Association here at UMBC, I wish you all the best. Congratulations. And this hat won't stay on.
Thank you, Dan. I think you did achieve a little bit of both in that speech. I also want to thank the Graduate Student Association. Will any members of the GSA Executive Board who are here in the audience please stand to be recognized for all that they do to support graduate students at UMBC? I am now pleased to introduce UMBC's Provost and Senior Vice President, Dr. Philip Rouse, who serves as our Chief Academic Officer. Dr. Rouse joined UMBC in 1990. He is a professor in our Department of Physics and in the past has served as Dean of the College of Natural and Mathematical Sciences. Dr. Rouse?
Thanks, Dan. Good morning. On behalf of the scholarly community that we call our UMBC, I extend my congratulations to our graduates. We had very high expectations when we welcomed you as a member of the UMBC community, and those expectations were based upon your promise as scholars. Today, we celebrate your fulfillment of that promise. You will join the tradition of UMBC alumni who, through their life's work, continue to advance our understanding of our own humanity, our democracy, the natural world that surrounds us, and most importantly, make a difference in the lives of others. Your diploma represents not just your academic achievement, but the friendships you formed, the faculty who nurtured you, and the family and friends who supported you and helped you arrive here today. And so I hope you will see your achievement as emerging within the context of a community that knows you and cares about you. My greatest hope is that your experience as a member of our community will have provided you with the opportunity to reflect upon the many values that we share together. Values such as excellence, commitment, hard work, inclusiveness, and a respect for the dignity of others. Perhaps the most important of these is integrity. That means putting your values into action. In the words of Leo Roston, the purpose of life is to matter, to be productive, to have it make some difference that you lived at all. Happiness in the ancient and noble sense means self-fulfillment and is given to those who use to the fullest whatever talents are bestowed upon them. Happiness lies in stretching to the farthest boundaries the resources of the mind and of the heart. And so, in conclusion, may you enjoy a life rich in the knowledge that each day your work and your relationships have truly made a difference. Congratulations.
Thank you, Philip. It is with great pleasure that I introduce Dr. Freeman Hrabowski, president of UMBC. Serving for over 20 years as president, Dr. Hrabowski has brought tremendous energy, vision, and leadership to this institution. He has helped connect the university with individuals, companies, foundations, and agencies that have brought new resources to build and sustain distinctive programs in undergraduate education and graduate education and research. Dr. Hrabowski.
Thank you, Dr. Rutledge, Dean Rutledge. Thank you, Dean Rutledge. Would you all give Dean Rutledge a round of applause? Good morning. Good morning again. It is a pleasure to see all of you here today, especially to see our graduates. Give our graduates a round of applause, would you? Graduates, how many of you have been waiting a long time for this day? It is so great to see your family members and friends. If you are a member of a family of a graduate student, of someone graduating today, please rise so we can applaud you. If you are, because you deserve these degrees. Give them a There's something symbolic about our family members being around us, because that statement about it taking a village to raise young people, and as people get older and older, as we get older, the more we realize there's nothing in our lives more important than our relationships, our family members, and our friends. And similarly, I want all of the faculty and staff members to stand. Students, graduates, give the faculty and staff a hand for what they've done to give you support. We have a few graduates who are members of our own staff, and I would ask them to stand. There are some do we have any graduates today who are staff members? If you are, please stand. Give them a hand. All the graduates who staff members, give them a hand. And a lot of them, very nice. Very nice. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. Do we have any veterans who are graduating today, or veterans in the audience? Veterans, please stand. Any veterans in the house? Yeah. Very nice. We are very proud of all of you. Very nice. And then any of our graduates who are planning to teach in our schools, please stand. Any future teachers are teaching already. Give them all a hand. We love our teachers. Our teachers, yeah. Yeah. Very important. Very, very important. This is a ceremony to honor you, graduates. You've been waiting a long time for this day, and I've chosen just a few of our graduates to highlight, just to give you a sense of the strength and the courage of all of you. These reflect all of your attributes. The first graduate I'm highlighting receives her PhD in language, literacy, and culture today. Her strong leadership in the Graduate Student Association has led her to be a part of one of our most successful graduate research conferences, which focuses on supporting students' professional development. She's also been a campus leader in civic engagement work and an integral part of our shaping and advancing UMBC's Breaking Ground initiative on civic engagement. Currently, she is a fellow with Imagining America, which is a national consortium of over 100 higher education institutions and cultural organizations with support from other leaders on campus. And she will be coordinating a national conference called Imagining America to be hosted by UMBC in the fall. And so, Romy Hubler, please stand. We're very proud of you. Romy, it's very important that it's going to be in Baltimore. We're having profound conversations that will have an impact on our country. We're very proud of you in that role. The next graduate is not here because he is serving our country, but he had planned to be here, but we understand why he is not here in defense of our country, but I want to read about him anyway. He is receiving his master's in cybersecurity. He's an alumnus of the U.S. Naval Academy. He's a veteran who spent 9 years in naval service as a weapons systems officer, and he was deployed for multiple 6-month cruises aboard an aircraft. After a short time in the civilian sector, he returned to service in the National Guard, where he quickly rose through the ranks to become a squadron commander. In his new role, working on the network security and warfare, he had realized that he needed an advanced degree that blended technology, policy, and leadership. He's now developing new models to protect our nation's critical infrastructure, including power, water, gas, and communications from cyber threats. And we're very proud of him. And while he's not here, I want us to send him good thoughts as he protects us, Lieutenant Colonel Macias. Give him a round of applause, please. Our next graduate receives her master's in history today. She grew up sitting around the dinner table, hearing stories of her family's deep ties to a sensitive issue, to slavery in Maryland during the 18th and 19th centuries. As an adult, she set out to discover the truth about her family's involvement and to understand what she might do in the 21st century. Her graduate research has focused on engaging with this troubling history head-on and using that knowledge to build relationships that bring about real, lasting change in American society. She plans to work in the field of public history. We're very proud of you. Talbot Mayo, please stand. Talbot, we're very proud of you. It's something significant about speaking the truth. We appreciate that. Our next graduate receives her PhD in chemistry and biochemistry today. Since the age of 7, she's dreamed of being a chemist. Wow. She's one of only a handful of students to receive the prestigious Ruth Kirstein National Research Service Award, which honors promising doctoral candidates from diverse populations. She is first author on 3 publications on the computational chemistry of hepatitis C, and she's preparing to submit a 4th. By the way, we're going to give you a test on these papers very shortly. She's been accepted into the Cancer Prevention Fellowship Program at the National Institutes of Health, where she will receive her graduate degree in public health at Johns Hopkins University and continue on as a researcher at the National Cancer Institute. Today, her dream has been realized. Brittany Davis, you inspire us all. Please stand. Wow. Very nice. Our next graduate receives his PhD in electrical engineering. He was a track and field star as an undergraduate at UMBC. He earned a spot in our Hall of Fame and holds university records in the high jump and triple jump. As a graduate student, he created the award-winning documentary film Lift Up, following the earthquake that devastated his home country of Haiti. He and his brother captured on film the resilience of quake survivors during that moment of profound national suffering. During his doctoral studies, he has received significant support from the National Science Foundation, including a major fellowship involving technologies for health and the environment. He already has begun work in Oakland, California as a senior computer vision engineer. Huggins John, send me a check soon. Please stand, Huggins, wherever you are, Huggins. I'm waiting for that check. Félicitations, monsieur. Our next graduate receives her PhD in public policy. In recent years, she has balanced a full-time job, family responsibilities, and 2 graduate programs. While pursuing a law degree from the University of Maryland, Baltimore, the intersection between law and public policy piqued her interest. At UMBC, she has coupled that interest with a passion for improving public education. She is currently an attorney with Stock & Leader, a law firm in York, Pennsylvania. She was admitted to practice law in the United States Supreme Court and was recently recognized as a leader in York County for her work in establishing, and our commencement speaker will appreciate this, the York Court Alliance, a problem-solving court designed to address truancy. Lee Dalton, we are so proud of you. Congratulations. Please stand. Very nice. Our next graduate receives her master's in text, technology, and literature. Today, she transferred to, this is today she's getting that graduate degree, but earlier she had transferred to UMBC 4 years ago as an undergrad in English, even though she was afraid to write. She was afraid of writing, of all things. And still, she challenged herself to join the Retriever Weekly staff, the newspaper, where the faculty advisor, Chris Corbett, was so impressed by her talent that he connected her with an internship at the newspaper downtown, the Baltimore Sun. Upon completing her degree, she embraced her passion for writing and enrolled in our English department's new master's program. Today, she is the first graduate of that program. She will be teaching composition at UMBC while applying to PhD programs. We are admired by your spunk. We want you to know that. Congratulations to Dorothy Stakoviak. Yes, Dorothy Stakoviak. Dorothy Stakoviak. Please stand. She must be away writing right now. Congratulations. Our next graduate receives her PhD in language, literacy, and culture. She was celebrating the completion of a master's degree when she was overcome with a sudden illness. In the hospital, she learned that she suffered from aggressive tumors. She fought back through countless surgeries and other treatments, including developing a dietary treatment to improve the quality of her life. She has refused to let the disease slow her down, balancing a demanding job and the rigors of a PhD program at the same time. She now stands before us today to receive her PhD. Latasha Ely, we are so proud of you and your personal strength. Please stand. Really. Let's give all of our graduates a round of applause. Everybody has a story. Every one of them has a story. Very important. Mr. Provost.
We will now confer our honorary degree. Ms. Luz Vega Marquez, please rise and step forward. As founding president and CEO, Luz Vega Marquez has spent nearly 15 years positioning the Marguerite Casey Foundation as a leader in creating and organizing a movement to empower working families and to fight for social change. Through generous grants and inspirational national communication strategies and campaigns, she has led a foundation focused on helping low-income families strengthen their voice and mobilize their communities to build a more just and equitable society for all. Prior to being named president in 2001, Ms. Vega Marquez served as executive director of the Community Technology Foundation of California, and prior to that, vice president and chief operating officer at the National Economic Development and Law Center. She is the founder of Hispanics in Philanthropy, and currently serves on the board of the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Justice and Human Rights. She holds a BA in Modern Languages from the University of San Francisco and an MA in Latin American Studies from Stanford University. We are proud today to honor Ms. Vega Marquez with an honorary Doctor of Public Service degree for her leadership in philanthropy and social justice and her outstanding achievements in civic engagement. Please step forward.
Now, therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the state of Maryland and given to me by the Chancellor of the University System of Maryland, and upon the unanimous vote of the Board of Regents, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Public Service, honoris causa, together with all the rights and privileges thereunto pertaining. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you one of this nation's most outstanding thought leaders and my dear friend, Luz Vega Marquez.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Freeman. Well, good morning, all, and thank you so much. President Hrabowski, Provost Rouse, distinguished regents, deans, faculty, staff, family, and friends, and most of all, UMBC graduates. Today is your day, and I'm deeply honored to share this momentous occasion with you. I'm sure all of you are very, very, very proud of what you have accomplished. I cannot think of a better way to celebrate your graduation than to talk about the power of love. As I look into the audience, I can see how very proud your families are of you, but I see something else here today, more than familiar pride or personal achievement. I see the manifestation of what Dr. Martin Luther King called the beloved community. UMBC is indeed an integral part of that beloved community and why this campus is such a sacred space. When Dr. King spoke of the quest for the beloved community, he meant something very specific. The beloved community is motivated by the love that can transform opponents into friends. It is the love that will bring about miracles and understanding in the hearts of people and redeeming goodwill to all. Dr. King describes it as the love of God operating in the heart of men. This love does not discriminate between the worthy and the unworthy, nor does it distinguish between friend and foe. This love, Dr. King tells us, is overflowing love that seeks nothing in return, and it is love seeking to preserve and create community. This may sound grandiose, even impossible to attain, or even naive, but if we are mindful that we see this community surrounds us already, even in our bleakest hours. It was there last month in the volunteers who handed out sack lunches to Baltimore children who might go without because schools were closed. It was there in community members who came together to haul away garbage or sweep the streets in the wake of demonstrations. And it was there as well when the state attorney decided to prosecute police officers charged in connection with the death of Freddie Gray. The beloved community, and indeed the entire country, longs for justice for all. The beloved community Dr. King spoke about seeks to preserve and create communities. A few days ago, as I waited in line at the bank to make a deposit into my granddaughter's account, I saw a member of the beloved community. Behind me was an elderly woman in a wheelchair, and she was very friendly and chatty, and she said, out loud, you know, after I pay my rent and my medical bills, I end up with $50 a month and $16 in food stamps. Imagine that, $66 left to cover her expenses, to take care of herself. Another customer said to her, well, perhaps you should go to the food bank. And she said, oh no, absolutely not. There might be others that need it more than I do. That, dear friends, is an example of the beloved community at work. Despite her limited means, this woman saw herself as a member of that community in a vision where all people share in the wealth of the earth. Maybe all she had to give was a bag of groceries that she did not pick up, but she gave what she could. And that is all we are asked to do. As you consider what it is that you will do next, prepare as you are with the power of your degree. I ask you to consider the words of Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, himself a native son of Baltimore. Commenting on America's individualistic, up by the bootstraps ethos, he said, "None of us got here by ourselves. Someone else bent down and helped us pull up our boots." I'd like to take a moment to honor a woman who changed the course of my life at a cost of $25. Because of that investment, I stand here today as the CEO of the National Philanthropy, the Marguerite Casey Foundation. We make $30 million in grants each year to fight poverty, but not as a charity and service. There's nothing wrong with that. But we wanted to do something that elevates the voices of poor families and connects people in communities in 13 states across the country through, it connects people across race, culture, geography, issues, and egos. Because we need to work together to build a better America and to lift people out of poverty. 46 million people in poverty in the richest country in the world is not acceptable. It is not acceptable. And we need to do something about it. But back to my story. My family migrated from Nicaragua to San Francisco, California, when I was 14 years old. And I had really good grades in high school, but my greatest hope was to find a really good job to help my family. That's what I wanted to do with my life. And one day, the fall of my senior year, Mrs. Gloria Bouchard, the only Mexican-American teacher at my high school, and my history teacher, asked me where I was going. And I told her my plans. She said, absolutely not. You can do better than that. But no one has suggested otherwise to me. Mrs. Bouchard gave me an application to a competitive university that I never heard of, much less dream of attending. I raced through the forms, and I was so excited until I got to the part that said we had to pay $25 in an application fee. My family did not have an extra $25. And she paid it, and here I am. And I'm very thankful to her. In that moment, my teacher introduced me to a principle that would guide my career in philanthropy and indeed my personal life. That if you want someone to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, first they need a pair of boots. Mrs. Bouchard gave me them. And that, not as a free ride, but the boots I will need to start walking. We will always need people like Mrs. Bouchard and Dr. Rabowski and your teachers and mentors who have made the differences in our lives, as well as that elderly woman at the bank and countless others. Each of these people weave the fabric of community every day in our lives. But we also need policy change and societal investments if we hope to transform the rhetoric of equal opportunity into a reality for all. Thank you. When you look at the impact of income inequality in this country and the many pernicious predatory lending practices, they're really extracting the resources and wealth out of poor communities across the country. It is really a crime. And as I think of UMBC, with all your wonderful degrees and experience, and all the excellence in education that you receive from this wonderful institution, but you also being ready to take part and be ready in this beloved community. And I know that you will each use your expertise to better our society. And this is why UMBC holds such a special place in my heart. This university is personally, especially to me as well, because of your brilliant president, Freeman Rabowski. He's also, in his spare time, chair of the board of the Marguerite Casey Foundation, where I have been fortunate to count him as a friend and mentor for the past 13 years. I had the honor of leading the foundation. He has built a reputation for UMBC as a premier research and teaching university and one that prepares students of all backgrounds for success. My strong sense is that your growth as students is what matters most to him. I see this confirmed every time I am with this extraordinary man. He's always sharing photographs of you, proudly reporting on your awards and accomplishments, and clearly show how much each of you means to him. Whenever I walk with Dr. Hrabowski on campus, students call out to him, and I never once seen him forget a name, a major, a hometown, or future plans. Even at the foundation board meetings, his connection to all of you is apparent in the muffled, distinctive hum of incoming texts. I sit next to him. Whether you're writing to tell them you aced a difficult test, worked out a conflict with a roommate, or my very favorite, welcome your first child into the world and named him Freeman, it is evident that Dr. Hrabowski has done more than build a research institution that has been called one of the most innovative in the country. He has built a microcosm of the beloved community. And knowing that, as you set out to meet whatever challenge comes next, you will bring with you this ethos of UMBC. As stellar as this institution is, and a wonderful reputation for academic excellence, this institution strives to produce not only money makers, but change makers, to instill in its graduates a set of skills and values that cannot be measured by the bottom line alone. Regardless of your particular degree or field of study, you have been prepared to be a member of Dr. King's beloved community and to be in service to others and to your community. I have an abiding faith that you will leave here today well equipped with your education and that you will change the world. Yes. This is the different mission of this institution, not that you will absorb and disseminate a particular set of values, but you will have the courage and clarity to discover your own. I hope that you will be able to measure your own legacy, not by the thousands of fleeting impressions that you have made on Snapchat or Twitter, but by the lasting impression you will leave on the next generation, and that others go on to achieve because you were in their lives. Jim Casey, the founder of UPS and the philanthropic leader behind Marguerite Casey Foundation, said, "The future of us all depends on how well we take care of each other." So it's up to us. We have a linked future, and we all have to work at making a better society. And this will be your legacy and your contribution to the beloved community. Again, congratulations, and God bless.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very much. Graduates, I also wanted you to hear Luz Vega Marquis, because I want some of you to think about the foundation world. That is a world that many people have never considered. Those of you in policy areas, because that world has a major impact on what happens throughout the country. Finally, I want to thank the Marguerite Casey Foundation under her leadership, because that foundation has given UMBC in the Choice Program millions of dollars in the past decade. Would you give her a hand for that, for UMBC? Millions of dollars. It's really powerful. And the power of love. Okay?
Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy please rise? Dr. Hrabowski.
Dr. Rutledge.
Dr. Hrabowski, I have the honor of presenting the candidates recommended by the faculty of the University of Maryland Graduate School, Baltimore, for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, the highest earned degree which any university has the power to confer.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the state of Maryland given to the Board of Regents and the Chancellor of the University System of Maryland, and by them entrusted to me, I hereby admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, which you have earned during the course of your studies at the University of Maryland Graduate School, Baltimore. In token whereof, you shall be given a diploma with all of the honors, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Thank you. Please be seated. Today, all of our graduates will receive a special congratulatory memento from the UMBC Alumni Association. Mr. Kenneth Pittman, a member of the Alumni Association Board, will greet you and present this to you as you return to your seats. Mr. Kenneth Pittman, a member of the Alumni Association Board, Now, will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy please proceed with their mentors to the platforms to receive your diplomas. Please remain seated until your row has been escorted to the stage.
As you come forth, I want you to remember our speaker's words about this being our sacred space and the notion of a beloved community. Those wonderful words, wonderful. Would you join me?
Emerald Lanice Christopher Bird, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Michelle Scott. Dr. Christopher Bird's work elucidated the contemporary constructions of Black womanhood via an analysis of self-help relationship advice literature. Her work examined the critical effect of representations of Black women upon the development of federal policies and institutions. Dr. Christopher Bird will continue to serve as a professorial lecturer in the Women's and Gender Studies program at Georgetown University. Latasha Nicole Ely, being hooded by her mentors, Dr. Beverly Bickle and Dr. Kimberly Moffitt. Dr. Ely used qualitative methods to explore how skin hue and hair politics impact Black women's lived experiences in college. Dr. Ely will continue her research across institutional types with varying student populations to ultimately develop her recommendations for student affairs professionals and higher education leaders. Romy Hubler, being hooded by her co-mentors, Dr. Beverly Bickle and Dr. Joby Taylor. Dr. Hubler explored diverse graduate students' experiences of education through a qualitative study of critical and constructive reflections and recommendations for expanded engagement opportunities on and off campus. Dr. Hubler is the Imagining America National Fellow and is pursuing opportunities to promote active learning and civic engagement in higher education. Shatarupa Jawardar, being hooded by her co-mentors, Dr. Beverly Bickle and Dr. Craig Saper. Dr. Jawardar's dissertation qualitatively analyzes the discourses and representations in Twitter, print media, and testimonies from participant organizers in the context of Anna Hazare anti-corruption movement in 2011 in India. Dr. Jawardar is currently looking for research and social media positions in nonprofits, foundations, and universities in the Seattle area. Emek Ergun, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Carol McCann. Dr. Ergun's path-breaking research builds on her translation of a popular history of Western virginities into Turkish to investigate how translation can serve as a tool of cross-border travels of feminist discourses and transnational activism through an analysis of reception of the translated text by readers in Turkey. Dr. Ergun has accepted a position as a lecturer in the Women's and Gender Study Department at the Keene State University in New Hampshire. Hui Chi Wang, being hooded by her co-mentors, Dr. Thomas Field and Dr. Anna Askas. Dr. Wang undertook the study of pragmatic variation within Mandarin Chinese and its implications for instruction and development of teaching materials for learners of Chinese. Dr. Huang is continuing her language teaching for government employees at Diplomatic Language Services and is considering other jobs as a Chinese language instructor. Usma Rashid, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Mavis Sanders. Through her dissertation, Dr. Rashid generated a nuanced account of the influence of institutions of socialization on the gendered religious identity development of racially and ethnically diverse young Muslim American women. Dr. Rashid will continue this line of research in a postdoctoral position focused on understanding transnational Muslim experiences. David Aaron Dunstan, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Wei Hong Lin. Dr. Dunstan determined the role of transient receptor potential channel, M5, in maintaining the survival of olfactory sensory neurons using genetically modified mouse models and methods of immunohistochemistry and quantitative measurement. Dr. Dunstan is currently applying for a faculty position to teach human anatomy and physiology and biology-related courses. Aaron Santush Satya Nisan, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Wei Hong Lin. Dr. Satya Nisan determined G protein expression profiles and physiological function of G beta-1 subunit in a mouse olfactory system using molecular, immune, cytochemical, and electrophysiological models. Dr. Satya Nisan is currently investigating interaction between glia and neurons in the nervous system as a postdoctoral fellow with Dr. Vittorio Gallo at Children's National Medical Center. Anna Lee Johnson, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Christopher Swan. Dr. Johnson used both observational surveys and experiments to study patterns of spatial and temporal variation in the diversity of plants found in vacant lots. Dr. Johnson will be continuing her research as an NSF postdoctoral fellow with Dr. Ashman at the University of Pittsburgh studying plant-pollinator interactions. Maria Yasmin Finger Elam, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Linda Baker. Dr. Finger Elam's mixed methods study revealed that Black parents engaged in involvement activities often overlooked by educators, such as communicating high expectations, making sacrifices to support their children, and teaching the value of education. Results highlight the importance of developing more inclusive, culturally relevant conceptualizations and measures of parent involvement. Dr. Finger Elam is a research specialist in the Howard County Public School System. Madiha Tassin, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Charissa Chi. Dr. Tassin used a person-centered approach to understand different group identity profiles among Muslim American youth and factors related to these profiles, including demographic characteristics, parenting, and youth well-being and adjustment. Dr. Tassin is currently building a cross-cultural research program to promote positive youth adjustment and engagement internationally. Nina Castle, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Sean Bediaco. Dr. Castle examined effects of the motivation to control prejudice on medical residents' treatment decisions for heart disease patients from different racial backgrounds. After completing her clinical internship at the Birmingham Veterans Association Hospital, Dr. Castle will begin a 2-year fellowship in neuropsychology at the VA Hospital in Salem, Virginia this fall. Emily Ruth Flom Klein, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Jason Schiffman. Dr. Klein examined the effectiveness of screening tools for early symptoms of psychosis and has published over 20 articles on early intervention. Dr. Klein will continue these efforts to improve strategies for engaging young people on the cusp of serious mental illness as a postdoctoral research fellow at Harvard Medical School. Molly T. Shaw, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Sherry Waldstein. Dr. Shaw found that perceived neighborhood quality influences Baltimore City residents' sleep quality by affecting negative emotions. Dr. Shaw will serve veterans with physical and psychological health conditions as a postdoctoral fellow at the Durham Veterans Affairs Medical Center. Molly Ray Sprung, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Sherry Waldstein. Dr. Sprung examined associations between individuals' perceptions of crime in their neighborhood and disparities in cardiovascular health among a diverse sample of adults living in Baltimore, Maryland. Dr. Sprung will be completing a postdoctoral fellowship in clinical geropsychology at the Pittsburgh VA Medical Center. Gitika Talwar, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Ann Brodsky. Dr. Talwar used qualitative research methods to explore the post-migration experiences of people who migrated from Afghanistan to the U.S. Dr. Talwar is working as a community clinical psychologist with Cowlitz Tribal Health, an organization in Seattle, Washington, that serves the mental health needs of Native American community. Lee Elizabeth Fernald Dalton, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. George Lanou. Dr. Dalton examined 10 states' efforts, including Maryland, to equitably distribute highly qualified and highly effective teachers. States increased the number of highly qualified teachers, but were often unable to define what a highly qualified teacher was. Preliminary assessment of the results of teacher redistribution with NAEP scores showed no consistent trends. Dr. Dalton is a school district solicitor for Stock and Leader in York, Pennsylvania. Cheryl Magaline Harris, whose co-mentors are Dr. Marvin Mandel and Dr. Dave Marcotte, being hooded by Dr. Marcotte. Dr. Harris examined how gender, race, and ethnicity are related to if and when individuals working in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics occupations leave the STEM workforce. Her findings have important implications for policies intended to increase the supply of STEM workers. Dr. Harris is currently an analyst at the U.S. Government Accountability Office. Chevelle LeBode Thomas, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Nancy Miller. Dr. Thomas examined patient and provider discussions related to chronic disease risk and management in the Medicare managed care population. Dr. Thomas found discussions to be below national quality standards with significant opportunities to improve care for this vulnerable population. Dr. Thomas is in the Office of Enterprise Information in the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Lathina A. Manning, whose co-mentors are Dr. Jeff Lipes and Dr. Michelle Stars-Gaiano, being hooded by Dr. Stars-Gaiano. Dr. Manning combined genetics and a new imaging method to investigate how cells make decisions during development. She focused on how complex tissue architecture influences the signals cells receive. Dr. Manning will continue studying developmental mechanisms as a postdoctoral fellow with Dr. Mark Pfeiffer at the University of North Carolina. Chong Zhang, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Hua Lu. Dr. Zhang's research explored how plants activate disease resistance against invading pathogens. His work revealed that the circadian clock genes are important for plants to battle against pathogens. Dr. Zhang will continue to study the profile of the circadian clock in regulating plant innate immunity in Dr. Lu's laboratory. Sudhir Dahal, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Brian Cullum. Dr. Dahal developed a new imaging modality, multiphoton photoacoustic imaging. This technique has demonstrated great promise for highly accurate real-time imaging of tumor edges during surgical removal and hopefully will dramatically improve long-term survivability rates. Dr. Dahal is currently employed at Shimadzu Corporation as an optical spectroscopy instrumentation development specialist. Brittany Carice Davis, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Ian Thorpe. Dr. Davis used molecular modeling to understand how allosteric ligands inhibit the RNA polymerase from hepatitis C virus. Dr. Davis will be working as a postdoctoral associate in the field of epidemiology as part of the Cancer Prevention Fellowship Program at the National Cancer Institute. William Emmanuel Gahn, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Marie Christine Anuda. Dr. Gahn created and characterized gold nanoparticle-based contrast agents for imaging and monitoring heart diseases using imaging techniques such as X-ray computed tomography, or CT, and magnetic resonance imaging, MRI. Dr. Gahn intends to apply his expertise to create novel imaging probes in a medical nanotechnology laboratory. Xin Wang, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Matthias Gabert. Dr. Wang extended numerical methods for transient advection diffusion reaction equations to take advantage of modern graphics processing units as accelerators in a multi-node computing cluster. He applied this speedup to simulations of calcium waves in a heart cell. Dr. Wang is currently pursuing employment opportunities with several companies that could profit from his knowledge of GPU programming. Jyoti Saraswat, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Andrei Dragonescu. Dr. Saraswat designed optimal order multi-grid methods for distributed optimal control problems constrained by semi-linear elliptical equations, an important stepping stone towards solving complex partial differential equation constrained optimization problems. Dr. Saraswat works as a tenure-track assistant professor at Thomas More College in the greater Cincinnati area. Yang Yang, whose mentors are Dr. Anindya Roy, Dr. Ming Tan, and Dr. Hong Bin Fang, being hooded by Dr. Roy. Dr. Yang developed novel Bayesian adaptive dose-finding method to tackle the non-monoticity problem in phase 1 drug combination trials. Dr. Yang is currently working as a mathematical statistician at the Food and Drug Administration and seeking to extend her research to regulatory problems. Xiaoyan Zhai, being hooded by her co-mentors, Dr. Thomas Matthew and Dr. Yi Wang. Dr. Zhai developed tolerance limits and hypotheses tests for statistically valid comparison of drug dissolution profiles based on criteria recommended by the FDA. Dr. Zhai has interviewed for multiple research positions in the pharmaceutical industry, the federal government, and local research institutions. John Thomas Sullivan, whose mentor is Dr. Raymond Hoff, being hooded by Dr. Belay Demoz. Surface ozone is a federally regulated pollutant, but is not measured routinely above ground level. Dr. Sullivan built a new instrument, TROPOS, which profiles ozone from 0 to 20 miles aloft. Dr. Sullivan will be using this instrument as a postdoctoral fellow at the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in support of their satellite activities and in support of the Maryland Department of Environment's pollution efforts. Brian Thomas Kirby, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. James Franson. Dr. Kirby studied the properties of entangled macroscopic quantum states and their applications for secure long-range quantum communications. Dr. Kirby will soon begin work on quantum networking at the Army Research Lab as a postdoctoral fellow. Swarnalata Balasubramaniam, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Jenny Leach. Dr. Balasubramanian's research tackled a major hurdle facing the development of astrocytes, a major brain cell type. Her work provides a foundation to design improved strategies for brain injury and neurodegenerative disorders. Dr. Balasubramanian works at Acetophyll on the development of crop protection agents and human and animal medicines using innovative application of biotechnology. Nikhil Ram Subramaniam, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Mark Martin. Dr. Ram Subramaniam developed a new method using mass spectrometers and dye-art reagent to characterize the phosphorylation state of a cell. Dr. Ram Subramaniam completed his research last year and is currently working at Merck & Company, Incorporated, using various omics techniques to carry out systems biology studies. Alimatu Sek, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Claire Welty. Dr. Sek constructed the first fully three-dimensional hydrologic model of the Chesapeake Bay watershed, coupling groundwater, surface water, and land surface atmosphere processes over the 400,000 square kilometer domain. She used the model to quantify groundwater stores, fluxes, and flow path lengths. Dr. Sek is seeking opportunities in international water resources. Sushmita K. Rao, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Chintan Patel. Dr. Rao developed a scalable, dynamic, fast, and accurate framework to estimate power supply noise caused by excessive switching in semiconductor chips, and also to model the effects of this noise on path delays. Dr. Rao is currently interviewing for positions in the semiconductor industry. Farish Mulwad, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Timothy Finan. Dr. Mulwad developed techniques to extract and represent the meaning of information found in tables and documents and web pages to help machines better understand, integrate, and search over them. Dr. Mulwad is currently extending this work as a UMBC postdoctoral research associate and will join GE Global Research in August as a knowledge discovery researcher at their New York headquarters. Rong Ki, whose co-mentors are Dr. Yelena Yesha and Dr. Shujia Zhao, being hooded by Dr. Zhao. Dr. Ki developed an innovative prognostic system for cancer survival analysis with novel grouping algorithms. The system improves the computational efficiency and scalability and groups cancer patients more accurately. Dr. Ki will work for Amazon in a cloud computing area. James P. Cahill, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Gary Carter. Dr. Cahill experimentally and theoretically demonstrated that Rayleigh scattering in an optical fiber contributes a significant amount of radio frequency, or RF, in the phase noise in analog RF photon links. Dr. Cahill is currently working at the Army Research Laboratory in Adelphi, Maryland. Bryce M. Cannon, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Gary Carter. Dr. Cannon used novel nonlinear optical techniques to demonstrate the creation and successful transmission of trans-multiplex data in an optical communication system. Dr. Cannon is currently working at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory. Huggins Jean, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Timothy Oates. Dr. Jean's research focused on digitizing paper forms targeting healthcare in developing countries. He developed efficient algorithms for matching forms against known templates, learning template classes, and learning to perform these tasks better through time. Dr. Jean is continuing his work as a senior engineer at Captricity, a late-stage startup that focuses on paper form digitization. John Robert Ward, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Dr. Ward's dissertation tackles the traffic analysis attack, which is a serious cybersecurity threat in tactical and mission-critical wireless ad hoc networks. He has developed multiple effective countermeasures to defend against such adversarial attack. Dr. Ward works as a researcher at the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory. Josephine Mazi Namayanja, being hooded by her mentor, Vandana Janeja. Dr. Namayanja proposed big data analytics methods in evolving communication networks and demonstrated how change in central nodes and network properties can be utilized to identify cyber attacks in massive data sets. Dr. Namayanja will extend these ideas for predicting future cyber attacks as an assistant professor at University of Massachusetts, Boston. Yanan Soon, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Vandana Janeja. Dr. Soon developed novel methods to discover anomalies in large spatial and temporal data sets using tensors. Her work is novel as it is the first in combining spatial and temporal properties in unified tensor framework. Dr. Soon is currently working as a data scientist at Booz Allen Hamilton. Santiago Orrego, whose mentors are Dr. Elena Rolla, being hooded by Dr. Tim Topolesky. Dr. Orrego evaluated the reduction in fatigue strength and fatigue crack growth resistance of human dentin resulting from exposure to acid buffers. Dr. Orrego will be extending his studies as a postdoctoral fellow in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at the Johns Hopkins University. Hyun-Jun Ryo, whose mentor is Dr. Duane Rolla, being hooded by Dr. Tim Topolesky. Dr. Ryo studied the nanomechanical behavior of collagen fibrils from hard tissues using nanoindentation and atomic force microscopy and characterized the hierarchical energy dissipation mechanisms. Dr. Ryo is currently working as a consultant and pursuing a career as a materials scientist. Joseph Benjamin Washington, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Tim Topolesky. Dr. Washington studied how biochemical processes associated with aging and cardiovascular disease affect the biomechanical structure, function properties of a primary structural protein in the arteries. His work is important for understanding how subtle changes in arterial structure can have long-term cumulative effects on cardiovascular health. Dr. Washington is currently exploring employment opportunities in government and industry. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Fine Arts please stay where you are? The MFA is the terminal degree in this field. Dr. Rabowski.
Dr. Rutledge.
Dr. Rabowski, I have the honor of presenting the candidates recommended by the faculty of the University of Maryland Graduate School, Baltimore, for the Master of Fine Arts.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the state of Maryland, given to the Board of Regents and the Chancellor of the University System of Maryland, and by them entrusted to me, I hereby admit you to the degree which you have earned during the course of your studies at the University of Maryland Graduate School, Baltimore. In token whereof, you shall be given a diploma with all of the honors, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Fine Arts now please proceed with their mentors to the platform to receive their diplomas? Timothy Brooks Bubb, whose co-mentors are Professor Eric Dyer and Professor Timothy Noe, being hooded by Professor Dyer. Mr. Bubb investigated the relationship between visions of a transhuman future and Eastern Christian mysticism by experimenting with a holographic shadow puppet theater. Dr. Bubb currently works full-time creating motion graphics for broadcast television and intends to continue his holographic explorations while teaching animation at the university level. Shannon Leanne Delavuck, being hooded by her mentor, Dr. Kathy Odell. Using photography, video, and food, Ms. Delavuck created an installation exploring the complex meanings of family, discovered on a research trip to her ancestral homeland of Croatia, where she not only located the town bearing her family's name, Delavucki, but heretofore unknown relatives. This is Ms. Delavucki's second MFA degree. She is pursuing a tenure-track teaching position. Victor Furtado de Mendonça Torres, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Kathy Odell. Using interactive technologies and durational performance in the installation setting, Mr. Torres relays his research on the historical trajectory of sounds, his construction of a new language with roots in ancient grammar and morphology, and the colonizing implications of this endeavor. Mr. Torres is pursuing artistic residencies as an independent artist. Keita Frederick, being hooded by his mentor, Professor Kathy Cook. Using crude materials such as wood, dirt, and charcoal, Mr. Frederick explores themes of consciousness and presence through durational performances. The residue of these performances is presented as drawing, video, installation, and physical artifact. Mr. Frederick plans to pursue his artistic practice through meditative means and continue to teach art-related courses. Jason Hughes, being hooded by his mentor, Dr. Lisa Morin. Mr. Hughes makes art from recycled U.S. currency. His art has been featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and Art in America. Mr. Hughes will be an artist in residence at Art Quarter, Budapest, near the River Danube, where international and local artists concentrate on their work and integrate into Hungary's contemporary art scene. Megan Alyssa Marks, being hooded by her mentor, Professor Kala Thompson. Ms. Marks researches chemical hoarding, bioaccumulation, and the transference of chemicals that are absorbed, inhaled, or ingested by living organisms at a rate greater than that at which they are expelled. Using data from UMBC's LIDAR system, she completed a video and kinetic sculpture that examine our diminishing airscape. Ms. Marks is currently pursuing a faculty position. Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts, Master of Public Policy, Master of Science, and Master in Professional Studies please rise? Dr. Rabowski.
Dr. Rutledge.
Dr. Rabowski, I now have the honor of presenting the candidates recommended by the faculty of the University of Maryland Graduate School, Baltimore, for the degrees of Master of Arts, Master of Public Policy, Master of Science, and Masters in Professional Studies.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the state of Maryland, given to the Board of Regents and the Chancellor of the University System of Maryland, and by them entrusted to me, I hereby appoint you to the degree which you have earned during the course of your studies at the University of Maryland Graduate School, Baltimore. In token whereof, you shall be given a diploma with all of the honors, privileges, and responsibilities thereunto pertaining.
Thank you. Please be seated. Will the candidates for master's degrees now proceed to the platform to receive their diplomas? Please remain seated until your row has been escorted to the stage. Dr. Robert DeLuty, Associate Dean of the Graduate School, will read the names of the Master of Arts, Master of Public Policy, Master of Science, and Masters in Professional Studies degree candidates.
In the Erickson School, candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in the program of Management of Aging Services, Donna Vivian Kotner. Michael Duncan Fader. Jennifer Marie Green. Christopher Charles Moore I. Glinda Elaine Walker. In the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in the program of Instructional Systems Development, Michael Anthony Dawson. Matthew Reiner Griffin. Austin Lee Meredith. Sharia Makeda. Tamika Trani Saunders. Letitia Annette Brown. Sarah Kathy Beckner. Ashley Susan Marissa Bunn. In the program of English for Speakers of Other Languages, Rachel Maurice Woods. Shannon Lynn McClung. Stephanie Lynn Ward. Tong Swan Piang. Laurel Ann Kircher. Kara Hope Aaron. Samuel Ryan Sheldon. In the program of teaching, Hillary Lee Fowler. Alice Elizabeth Buckner. Sean Russell Levy. Krista Cornwell Surrey. Anton Grant Washington. Reagan Louise Williams. Amy Elizabeth Connor. Mark Lawrence Zachar. Robert John Early. Jody Lynn Smith. Daniel Christopher Lahat. Philip Ward Hahn. Brian Eric Mager. Elaine Sam Thomas. Caitlin Elizabeth Quinn. Dunya Banua. Stephanie K. Fox. Ashley I. Mancuso. Erwin Remio Sanchez Sanchez. In the Department of History, in the program of Historical Studies, Talbot Ann Mayo. Jessica Dean Pantazis. In the Department of English, in the program of Text, Technologies, and Literature, the first graduate, Dorothy Stay Stakoviak. In the Department of Modern Languages, Linguistics, and Intercultural Communication, in the program of Intercultural Communication, Catherine Dyer Barrett. George M. Mushayuma. Kelly Christine Bland. Molly Albina Lemoyne. Maria Mueller. Yu Hao. Eva Piera Escriva. In the Department of Psychology, in the program of Applied Developmental Psychology, Hui Jun Lim. In the program of Human Services Psychology, Sabrina Hope Ereshevsky. Stephanie Torres. In the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, in the program of Applied Sociology, Leanne Patricia Clotter. Jatil Lakita Kohli, Mabel Allison Hyde, Tiffany Marie Panic, Colette Perrine, Camilla Elena Sotella, Yasmin Temurian, Jonathan Moges Teklu. In the School of Public Policy, in the Program of Public Policy, Elise Pohl-Bruner. Kiki Ayodele Malamo Paris. Matthew Francis Wood. Elizabeth Tamin. Sarah Daneshpur. Allison Patricia Donley. Ayaz Sheikh Ahmed. Candidates for the degree of Master in Professional Studies in the program of Geographic Information Systems, Michael Prattin. Jason Shinhao Lin. Bertrand Togi Kang. In the program of Industrial Organizational Psychology, Kiana Beckles. Roberto Moises Calderon. Erin Jane Carnes. Sophia Castro. Laura Marie Gishard. Ina Herner. Lauren Alexandra Keefe. Merlin Karina Martinez. Laurelyn Wiltz Owens. Billy J. Robinson. Catherine Ann Surfling. Leah Elizabeth Schellenberger. Amy Sidibe. Megan Elizabeth Skidmore. In the Department of Geography and Environmental Systems, in the program of Geography and Environmental Systems, Jennifer Elizabeth Mayo. In the College of Natural and Mathematical Sciences, candidates for the degree of Master of Science, in the Department of Biological Sciences, in the program of Biological Sciences, Sarah Lynn Hansen. In the program of Applied Molecular Biology, Jordan Shia Bader. Yanis Balanos. Catherine Elizabeth Cronice. Hadassah Shira Gutman. Benjamin Michael Janis. Nilusha Surangi Yashasinja. Munanchu Podel. Bonita Helena Powell. Netsanet H. Wodgarima. Singzuk Cindy Zhang. In the Department of Mathematics and Statistics, in the program of Mathematics, Saratha Darcy Swatsky. In the program of Statistics, Serge Zuwansha Gadu. In the Department of Physics, in the program of Physics, Richard Allen Brewster. Hegshu Lang. Lipi Mukherjee. Candidates for the degree of Master in Professional Studies in the program of Biotechnology, Samson Maynard Gichuki. Gayatri Jayakumar. Deepika Namdev Shenoy. Kanika Tarani. Joanne Ellen Aldrich. Dave Anand Samaru. Faiza Munamar. Nicole Crosby, Kevin Jerron Matthews, Meek-Young Kim, Nisi David, Wendelin Jasmine Quintanilla, Jessica Louise Kohut Shirer. Candidates for the degree of Master of Science in the Department of Chemical and Biochemical Engineering and Environmental Engineering in the program of Chemical and Biochemical Engineering, Heather Lee Harshbarger. In the Department of Computer Science and Electrical Engineering in the program of Computer Engineering, Omkar Adali. In the program of Computer Science, Aniket Vikas Gaur. Satyajit Padalkar. Manish Chavan. Bharat Prakash. Amanda Joyce Lepley. Rakhavendra Shruti Rao. Adam Daniel Price. Gregory Joseph McAdams. Swati Vayavahare. Gargi Anjikar. Rakesh Davachilal. Kavya Srivivasan. Vivek Vijayan. Ankita. Apurva Rao Neti. Sunil Rajakumar Gandhi. Siddharth Alani. In the program of Systems Engineering, Bryce Dwayne Robinson. Stephen Leon Schwartz. Kevin Glave. In the Department of Engineering Management, Catalina Irani. Jason Christopher Kelly. Sandeepan Ghosh. Jaspreet Singh Brar. Ayush Sharma. Tom K.K. Kebi. Timilihan Amadunbi Adenusi. Himabindu Puranam. Soumya Puranam. In the Department of Information Systems, in the program of Human-Centered Computing, Francis Douglas League III. Zachary Miles Seidel. Gloria Abina Opoku Boateng. Joseph Richard Clofley. Manik Budhiraja. In the Department of Information Systems, Sonali Patil. Kalili Deepanvita. Anusha Kanuri. Rucha Patil. Ayi Trufal Al-Khatani. Vishnugopal Rajamanikam. Gayatri Lakshmi Narayan. Mithun Manohar Ravichandran. Varun Ambigapathy. Vaishnavi Gopalan. Garima Ajwani. Ankita Shrivastava. Shrutia Haresh Madhur. Anusha Goliala. Geraldine Maya Bareshki. Eloise June Bowers. Aswini Bhaskaran. Mengni Du. Yusi Zhao. Zhaoyang Calvin Zhu. Maria Priyanka Sebastian. Aja Olga Aniset Cream. Honeyme Precious Jademi. Samuel Owosu. Katrina Patrice Karible Chan. Bernard J. Onyango. Ashwag Mohammed Alasmari. Abhishek Mukesh Sajra. Ankita Tiwari. Sanket Chandrasekhar Tup. Millie Sinha. Virashitha Lakshmi Manasha Devisetti. Madhura Anil Matri. Pooja Jagannath Kastur. Navadita Ashok Kale. Kimaya Vardi. Anne Marie James. Jacob Paul Housand. Mohit Sugandhi. Natish Vijay Patwardhan. Nagendra Pavan Angana. Ninad Padhukar Deo. Ajinkya Rajendra Pants. Mark Seth Frankel. Brian Carlisle Huffman. Julia Anastasia Agro. Robert Johnson. Omkar Anil Natu. Piyush Arun Godbol. Ruchi Chandrakant Nayak. Salmaya Shri Dilwar. Prachi Paresh Kumar Patel. William Berkeley Easley III. Lynette Bainey Scrivens. Susan Anyango Mendy. Martha Ann Tartle. Leonard Santiago. In the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Anthony Joseph Crenshaw. Christopher Scott Dubé. Masan Bakhtiara Nijad. Ali Riza Shamani. In the College of Engineering and Information Technology, candidates for the degree of Master in Professional Studies in the program of Cybersecurity, Sergio I. Rodriguez. Sarah Rose Biron. Dennis Omar Granado. Jeffrey Dale Shire. Michael Joseph Park. Scott Jason Blumberg. Samir Khanna. Brad Coleman. Michelle Lynn Ellison. Roger Glenn Schult. Ernest Clay Anderson. Olusula Rashidat Lawal. Teo O. Olagunju. Jason Eric Coleman. Rustam Abakayev. Robert Andrew Charles. William John Kramer. Sri Hari Vimulakonda. Soma V. Chari. Apilash Anthony. Myron Adrell Kennedy. Randy L. Nunnally. James Michael Fisher.
At this point, I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Kenneth Pittman, President of the Alumni Association, one of the nearly 70,000 UMBC alumni worldwide. He graduated from the university in 1980 with a bachelor's in economics. He's now Senior Vice President and responsible for senior wealth advising at PNC Financial. Give him a round of applause, please, for his support. To the audience, you have been particularly respectful and dignified. I'm going to ask people to stop walking and to remain in this place for just the next few minutes. We'll be out of here very, very shortly. I will make some final remarks. We will have the singing of the alma mater. It's very important that people don't move during the singing of the alma mater. We would ask that you not leave this space, this sacred space, for the next few minutes. It was Professor Odell who gave me the idea that UMBC stands for the University of Maryland Beloved Community. I like that. But give a hand for the idea of University of Maryland Beloved Community. We like that. We'll use that from time to time. Graduates, please take this moment and your families to savor your success. It has been my tradition to quote the words of our first president, the late Alvin Kuhn, to the first graduating class in 1970. It's amazing, that was 45 years ago, when he said, if you bring to the future the same personal qualities and personal commitment you have brought to this campus as students, good and important things will happen to each of you and to those around you, and the university will be proud to have played a part in your lives. And now, graduates, let me leave you with my own thoughts about your future. Be confident, knowing that the education you have received here gives you a solid foundation for the rest of your lives. Know that if you persevere, and we know you will reach your goals, though you are certain to be challenged and tested along the way, as you've already been challenged and tested. Remember that your dreams, and most important, your character, will determine who you will become. Your character will be reflected most clearly in the courage you possess, and as our speaker said, in the compassion you show for others. Be true to yourselves. Be true in your relationships, always reaching out to inspire and to elevate. I want you to remember that $25 that Luz Vega Marquis mentioned, that small amount of money that made the difference in her lives. Each of you will have the chance to help another person, and it may not seem like a lot to you, but that one gesture, whether it's about money or one act, may change a life that may change the world. Graduates, you are now officially alumni of UMBC. You will always be connected to us. We will always see you as ours, and you must always see this sacred space as your home. Please, let's give them all a round of applause and a standing ovation. We will now have the singing of the alma mater, which can be found on the back side of the cover, inside back cover of the commencement program. Please remain standing. Nobody move, out of respect for this sacred space for the University of Maryland Beloved Community. Our alma mater. Alma mater, are you? NBC, only bearing your colors, the whole world to see. Strive Please remain standing. Professor Shin will join us now to lead the recessional. Please remain standing. Professor Shin.
Will everyone please remain standing until the platform party, faculty, staff, and graduates have recessed. Families and friends are asked to meet the graduates outside of the arena. Congratulations to you all.